Welcome back, guys. My name is Slater Kane from Wild Kane Supply Company. This is podcast episode, I believe, 4 now. I'm here with my good buddy, Jose Fernandez, also known as Campygilmore on Instagram. He's one of my really close friends of mine, and he just really inspires me a lot to get out and do the things that we all love. And he's a super cool guy and super stoked to have him in my life. Welcome, Jose.
Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for getting me out at camp, dude. This is awesome.
Yeah, pretty stoked to be out here. Beautiful Lake Casitas, local spot, but awesome to be here.
Yeah, for sure, dude. It's beautiful out here. It's pitch black outside. I mean, we got lit up by the rigs. I mean, what a more beautiful camp spot than this, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, Jose and I have been pretty good friends for well over a year now. We have gone on some pretty rad trips together in the past year or so. Some of the best memories I've made is with this guy right here. What do you have to say about that?
I mean, it's kind of a crazy story on how we met, right?
Yeah.
So we're in an Instagram group, right? And someone tagged Slater's truck, and someone said, "Hey, dude, this build's crazy. You know, does anybody know who this is?" So I looked at his license plate. I zoomed in, super creeper style, seen Wild Kane, searched it, and ultimately ended up he was following me, and I followed him back, and I sent him a message, and I said, "Hey, what's going on? You know, we're ultimately what we're trying to do is network with like-minded individuals within the industry." So I knew that what I seen from there was like someone that I definitely wanted to be around, right? So sent him an invite to the group, and ultimately the relationship just kept growing and growing. We're out here camping, spending all these time out in the wilderness together, and then ultimately you added me to be an ambassador for the group. Now, so obviously I have a whole bunch of partnerships and stuff, but the Wild Kane brand to me is huge, right? So it is everything that I embody as like this truck is what Wild Kane brings to the table, right? Absolutely. So not only do you have the awesome clothes that he provides and these hatchets and these knives and all that, it fit hand in hand to what we're looking for, right? So I'm super stoked to be part of the team, and I thank you again for offering me that opportunity, and thank you again for being my friend, right? So it's funny, right? So we go from creeping on this dude on Instagram to being in the middle of Menanche Meadows, freezing around a freaking fire with our buddies, right? And one of the funniest stories I have, and is a true Slater story, is we're sitting in the middle of absolute nowhere, pitch freaking black, and Slater out of nowhere is like, "Hey, you guys want tuna?" And I'm thinking, like, what is this dude talking about? Like, thinking he's going to bring out a can of tuna, maybe
this is our first trip together, right?
Yeah, slap some corn in it. I don't know, right? So he comes out and with a thick piece of tuna, cuts it up, feeds all of us at camp, and I'm like, man, this is the wildest thing I've ever had on the trail. Is just someone doing sashimi at camp. It was wild.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. Yeah. That was probably by far one of my favorite experiences with all you guys, especially being the first trip with you guys. That was by far one of the best ones I've had. Probably my first like group trip with people I didn't even know really. Like I talked to you guys before the trip. We've known each other for a few months now. Talked here and there on Instagram. Met a couple times in Ventura for some meetups, but never actually camping together. And then it just kind of last minute. Oh yeah, I can make that trip. And when we got to go on that trip, it just opened a whole new door, friends, memories, possibilities, opportunities, and it just it's awesome.
Yeah. One of the funniest things about that, right, is, you get to camp, and especially when you're in remote areas where you don't have cell service or whatever it may be, it's hard because you could bring people out there. And I mean, I have stories now where I'll take people out there and you're camping for, maybe a couple hours, and they're like, "I'm out. This is not for me," right? Yeah. Which was a complete opposite for you. So I was like super stoked. Is like, it takes a lot for someone to be able to disconnect on that level, especially with strangers, right? You don't know any of us.
Yeah.
And you're out there, we're camping. It was 4 a.m. I look over in front of a fire pit. You're freaking cuddled up like a dog, howling, right? I mean, at the end of the night, we're all sitting there with Grinch smiles. My sides hurt from laughing all night. It was one of the coolest experiences and introductions I've ever had, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been camping since I was a child. That's something that truly is like a part of my life. Regardless if we had these cool trucks, we could be camping in a freaking clapped out Subaru, and you give me a ground tent, I'm going to be equally as happy. That's just who I am. That's what I've
Yeah,
always done, right? But we're out here in the middle of nowhere meeting new people. It was such a cool experience, and
absolutely.
I could instantly tell, like, yo, he's one of us, you know. So it was cool, man, and I'm very grateful for this relationship.
Yeah,
You're awesome, man.
this relationship that we have and have built has not only grown, but it's just opened so many doors for me creatively, um, and just like what friendship is about, and being able to go out into these and do these crazy activities that not a lot of people like love to do. There definitely is a community that love to do it, but not everyday people, or I don't know what the right term is. Not a lot of people just like to go out in the boonies and make a fire and cook over like a tiny two burner stove and make food, or even over a cast iron on the fire. Um, but it's what we love to do, and it just gets better as time goes on.
Oh yeah, each trip is kind of the way that I embody, like, each trip is almost like a testament, and I learn from each trip, right? That's why our
Yeah,
trucks change so much, right? You
yeah,
might one year you might have a soft shell tent, and the next year you're in a hard shell tent. So that's the way that I look at a lot of these experiences, these adventures, right? Is like, oh, what can I do better, or what can I do differently that next time, and maybe I was on, like, one of our buddies, Scott, right? He's like on a 20-inch wheel. So, like, I know he can't get to the spots we can get. He has these little baby wheels. But see, he might take him a couple tries, and next thing you know, he's on 35s, -38 offset, looking sexy as hell. Those are experiences, right?
yeah,
And one big thing I love about this community and our group of friends, rather, is we have that banter. We can go and, hey, you're rocking this or you're rocking that, and but at the end of the day, we're all wearing Wild Cane, right?
yeah,
I mean, that's awesome, dude. So those are cool experiences, and I've been able to build the foundation out here in Ventura. I'm originally not from the area. I'm from Kern County. So coming up here, and I was in a very similar situation to where you kind of were, in the sense that, like, you hadn't really found this community yet. We kind
yeah,
of we sniped you. I got sniped as well, right? So
yeah,
I was out here building a Tacoma, started networking with locals. I've met, some of my best friends now. These guys are brothers to me. I've met them through this community and just kind of networking and doing these things.
absolutely. Like before you guys, I had friends to go camping with, but I had this whole vision of like I'm living the dream right now. I have a whole community that has always wanted to do the same thing as me, and that is build out a truck, go into the boonies, have a hell of an adventure getting there to the camp spot, and having just a killer time around the fire. That's where stories are told, right? And I wholeheartedly believe that some of the best stories are told around a fire. And the fact that we are able to do that in our dream rigs, we're just fortunate enough to be able to do that kind of stuff. Um, I'm just fortunate that you guys sniped me. Oh, hang on. Got
Cut. Is it a ranger?
no, no. I'm just lowering this a little bit.
Here we go. How's it going?
Okay, yeah. So sorry, guys. That was just a little incident with the ranger we had. It's all taken care of and no big deal. So to continue on with what I said, just super fortunate to have this community, because before I didn't. I was building a truck for myself and the vision to have a community to go out camping, or this kind of camping in the future. And I just like had no idea where to start. And so I was just building it as a hobby. Like, this is what I wanted to do. And eventually something will come my way. And I had actually just recently gotten back from a trip for my birthday a couple years back, or about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago now, with my two buddies, Eric and uh, his buddy Jesse. We did Jawbone. We did the Jawbone Trail out of Jawbone and tried to make it to Lake Isabella, but wasn't able to make it. But so that was a super awesome trip. And when we came back, I didn't even wash my truck, and it was filthy. And at this point, I'm at work. I'm at work, and I get a DM from Jose, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa! Like, I know that name, but okay, let me continue working. And I went to go check it out, and like he said a little bit ago, he reached out, wanted to join, wanted to network with me and get to know me and get to know like what Wild Cane's all about, and just led into an awesome relationship and friendship, maybe a little bit of relationship.
Yeah, a lot of relationship.
But yeah, ever since then, I've found what I've always envisioned, having a community to go out on the trails with, and just do what I love to do with these other people. And that leads me right into like, how did you get into this lifestyle?
Yeah, so like I mentioned a little bit previously, I grew up camping, my whole life, right? It's camping, fishing, shooting. It's been something that's been part of my life since I was a child.
Yeah.
So once I obviously became older and wanted to kind of do what I enjoyed doing as a kid, and now I had an adult money to do it, I
Yeah.
was like, that's the first thing I'm going to do. So I did a lot of research, and a lot of people don't know this, but I was actually going to build a Jeep. So
Oh, thank
yeah,
God you
so I've
didn't.
been a Toyota
Sorry,
guy.
guys.
Yeah, I've been a Toyota guy my whole life, right? But there's actually Marcos with Overland X and Brad from Show Recon. I kind of, when I started getting in the hobby, I started getting on the YouTube thing really hard, and I seen both of these built Jeeps, and I'm like, man, dude, that looks so much fun. Looks like so much fun. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go to a Jeep dealership, see what they say. Uh, Obviously, super freaking expensive, and I'm like, you know what? I was already gonna get a Toyota anyways, so I ordered quite literally the truck of my dreams, which was my third gen.
Yeah.
And I ordered it in the cement gray color, the trim level I wanted, everything just to get started. And then going back to the initial question was, how did I get in the hobby? That was kind of the heartbeat for me to get into the hobby, was getting the truck. So a lot of people ask me like, hey, and I'm sure they ask you as well, like, what do you prioritize first when you start building a truck? And I give the same answer to everybody, is like, dude, you can get anywhere in a stock vehicle. I mean, yeah, you're going to choose maybe a 1 out of 10 on Onyx or whatever, app you're using, but it's really not necessarily about the rig. It's more about that lifestyle and what you want to do, right? So
Absolutely.
when I built the Tacoma, I was stocked for probably about 6 months. I prioritized slider, skids, and then a full size spare, which I ended up going with the rigged Ultra Swing. But I knew, like, hey, if I start wanting to test the waters and getting into a little more remote areas, I don't have a full size spare. I don't want to bang up the rocker panels of a brand new truck.
Yeah.
So I ended up starting with that and then kind of building from there. But ultimately, like, this has been my life, right? Camping has been such a detrimental part of my life. It's like I wanted to do that, and now I don't have, hey, be home before the sun sets or what. I'm an adult now. Like, my parents can't tell me when to come home. So now I'm going to
Yeah.
go out for, 4 or 5 days at a time and not shower.
Yeah.
So,
Dude, that's the best.
yeah.
And when you do get home, you're like, oh, the shower
Yeah.
feels
It's
so
the
nice.
victory shower.
Yeah.
And that's a funny thing too, is like, we're out at camp and I always tell you, we have new people come around and like, you're really going to test that person when you have to go out with a shovel and go to the bathroom, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's like, dude, where do you go to the bathroom? There's no water here. It's like, bro, that shovel's not here to stoke the fire, dog.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's always so funny. Like I knew right away that you were those kind of people, and I'm like, who get who cares?
Yeah.
Like you're out there. Who cares where you have to go to the bathroom? I understand that some people aren't super comfortable with it, but being out there, that's what it's all about. And like you said, the lifestyle, it just comes with the lifestyle, you know.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
and I love how you said you do not need all the super fancy stuff to go these cool places. You really don't. Um, it's all preference, and we don't want it to like actually to guide our brand. Like, oh, you gotta have all these fancy things, blah blah blah, to go to these cool places. It's just preference. Like if you want to go out and explore, just go out in like your Honda Civic or Subaru, or Subarus are pretty cool for adventure too. Um, just
That's debatable. I'm just kidding.
uh, it's just get a ground tent, camp out, and that's what it's really all about. And
Yeah, that's I tell people that all the time, man. Is dude, I honestly at times, yeah, it's cool to be in a rooftop tent or a topper or whatever you're in. But I mean, some of my greatest memories as a child is being terrified that a bear is going to get me inside of a ground tent. You know, like you
yeah,
have all like I still enjoy ground tent camping from here to there too. You know, I just enjoy camping. You know, I love
it's
being
the
outdoors.
best.
Yeah, there's nothing better than just. And I know right now we're in the age of everybody's on cell phones and whatever, but dude, I got no cell phone service. I don't have to work. I don't. You know what I'm saying? I love being
It is
disconnected, hanging out with my
so
buddies.
freeing.
Yeah, it's the most freeing experience you can do, and guess what? It's free, right? So
Yeah,
it's like, what else gets better than that? And then you can go out there and one big thing that enjoy doing is kind of challenging myself with like meals. Right now, you can go out there and there's nothing wrong with like these MRE style meals. All two of them. I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure you've seen the MRE game is insane, right? I mean, there's
Oh yeah,
you could freaking have desserts and ice creams and all this stuff,
it's
but
gnarly.
yeah, it's insane. But I'm also the point where like, hey, I kind of want to do something a little. Let's do jambalaya tonight, or like
Yeah,
try to like test ourselves. What can we make? And I have a funny story. On Thanksgiving last year, I went out with one of my best friends. His name's Scott. Be Horizon Bound on Instagram. A lot of
yeah,
people
yeah,
know
yeah.
him. But we ended up going out for Thanksgiving week for his birthday. So me and Sam, we came up with this great idea to do chicken and dumplings. So it's so funny, dude. So we go out. We're up near the Oregon border. We end up making our way. We're out near Lassen's National Park or the
Yeah.
volcanic area, whatever. We find a really cool campsite. We're like, all right, dude, tonight's the night. It was Thanksgiving. We are prepared. We are ready to knock this chicken and dumplings out the park, right?
Yeah.
We get a
Oh
Dutch
no.
oven. We put it on the fire. I mean, it looks cool for Instagram.
Oh
Right?
yeah,
Like,
for
dude,
sure.
you got this freaking thing in the fire. We're getting ready to grub. Scott and I are foaming at the mouth. We could smell the chicken and dumplings for all of like 30 seconds. So we're sitting there, obviously we're sipping on some adult beverages, having a great time. Well, it'd probably been in the fire, let's say 15, 20 minutes. So we take it out, we take the lid off to kind of see, hey, is the chicken done? And you're looking at it looked like 4 pieces of coal.
Oh
So
my
everything
god.
completely evaporated and we end up eating Frito boats for dinner. It's one of the funniest stories I have, but to going back to what I was saying is I enjoy challenging myself
Yeah.
and even like and I'm very much a group person as well. So like, yo, we're gonna do whatever meal, and all of us kind of kick in onto it. I mean, we've been out in Utah and making bacon wrapped hot dogs while it's snowing outside, and it's just
Yeah.
one of my favorite parts of camping is obviously eating. Um, so yeah, and the adventure aspect too.
Absolutely.
I I purposely make it to where like when we're out in these super remote areas or maybe areas outside of California or just an area you've never been, like I will make it a chore to go to like the mom and pop diners.
Oh, dude.
That's my
Absolutely.
favorite thing, right? So like you go to like a coffee shop and it's
Yeah.
like, man, like we're at this little hole in the wall coffee shop. They're putting chocolate milk in your coffee. It's like there's you see all these experiences and see all these different cultures, and I'm such a fan of it.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite parts is traveling to the campsite as well.
Absolutely. That's probably my absolute favorite part of the whole trip is getting to the spot. Like the whole the journey, it's all about the journey, not the destination. The destination's cool, but the journey there is just far more cool. Um, One of my favorite things of like convoying with like the crew is we're all on our mics,
The radio
all
banter.
on the radios, just bantering back and forth, talking shit, and having a great time. Just
Oh yeah.
we're all in different rigs, but still talking to each other, and it's just so cool. And then, like how you said, stopping at these cool places on the way um, is one of my favorite things too. Like you introduced me to one of my all-time favorite places now, Kern River Brewing,
Oh yeah.
and every time we're passing through, or if I'm alone with like say my fiance or something, um, I gotta stop there now.
Those avocado egg
Like,
rolls, dude, they'll get you every time.
dude, those egg rolls, the pretzel sticks, insane. That their own root beer. I'm not a big drinker, so I'm not a big beer guy, but root beer I'm all about.
Oh yeah.
They got a solid menu for sure. But it's always been a goal of mine to like say we're driving through the night and we see like this tiny little diner on the side of the road that's open 24/7, and we get to, hey, you guys want to pull over and grab something to bite on, and we do, and go in there. It's like 2 in the morning, let's say, and we just grab on a mom and pop diner,
Yeah.
and that's such a cool experience because not a lot of people get to do that.
And it's one cool, like, not necessarily side effect, but it's one cool thing about this industry, right? You talk about the overland industry. I mean, in a sense, we are stimulating these small economies, and
Yeah,
I'm a very much a supporter of Made in America. Is a huge thing for me, right? But also supporting these small businesses. So you go in and you got a convoy, let's say of 4 or 5 trucks, and you go out there and you're floating their kegs or whatever it may be. Like, not only are they enjoying your business, but dude, you're having these conversations they're going to remember forever.
absolutely.
We'll go out and try all these new foods or coffee places or whatever, and it's like we are helping. Like, and you're talking places where the population is like sub 500, whatever it
Yeah,
is, like super small communities. We go out there, spend time. I love networking with locals, and another kind of weird thing I do is I love going to like little dive bars too. Maybe have like just outside of Death Valley, another Scott story, but we stopped at a cafe and they had Death Valley IPAs there. So I'm like, dude, I want the IPA straight from Death Valley's tit. So that was it. Was like we go out and we try these new things, and I'm super hyped to like to do that. Not only for them, I mean they're super hyped too. You go
yeah,
out and you're spending money with them and whatnot. It's awesome.
absolutely. Yeah, so it's honestly not supposed to be an advertisement. Just take it for a grain of salt. Like what we like to do, don't nothing that we have you gotta have. I want you guys to be prepped for quality gear, to have quality experiences, to have a quality life, and that's what I had just said. And yeah, so like actually speaking of your build, you were just in SEMA, yeah?
Yeah. So just got back from SEMA on Sunday. One of the most surreal, craziest experiences of my life, other than getting married.
Yeah,
But it was one of the most coolest experiences I've ever had the opportunity to be a part of. Huge shout out to Overland Vehicle Systems for bringing me out, staging the
yeah,
truck in the booth. It was awesome, man. Just from the networking aspect, and it's very, it's not similar to camping, but you're able to go out there and network with other like-minded individuals. And the
absolutely, yeah.
auto enthusiast industry is not just solely off-road, right? So
Mm-mm.
you might be in grabbing coffee, or you might, there was a funny story. We were on Fremont Street out having some drinks, me and my buddy George, and we're sitting there, and these guys with thick New York accents are next to us, and I mean, I won't stop talking, dude.
Yeah,
So I end up going out and I'm talking to them, and they're actually there at SEMA, and they did leather upholstery. So it was super cool to like come and talk to them and see how they started and how they got to the big show. So it was a super awesome experience. I've linked up with Tacoma Beast now, and just a whole bunch of stuff came out of that I really wasn't anticipating. I mean, I'm just some kid that loves camping.
yeah.
Although I'm 35, I still feel like I'm a kid.
Dude,
It's
that's
crazy.
that's important.
Yeah.
Like I'm 28 and I still feel like a kid, and like I just want to get out and go explore and adventure and have a good time and have fun.
Oh yeah.
Like it's the best feeling. Like having being a grown up and still being a kid at heart is super important in my opinion.
Oh, for sure.
Like if you grow up, don't just grow up, just don't grow up too fast,
Yeah.
or don't grow up at all to an
Yeah.
extent.
No. I mean, it's quality of life at the end of everything,
Yeah.
right? And quality of life for me is still making fart jokes at 35 and camping with my best friends. And I did want to go back to something you had mentioned too, that when you're talking about the brand, right? Uh, I want when my biggest thing to pull from this too is product rather, is to try everything out, see what you like and see what you don't like, right?
Yeah.
So like it even comes down to like a thermal, right? So Sam might have like some, cheap thermal, and given the opportunity to collaborate with you, you know, hook her up with a thermal, and now she won't take it off.
Yeah.
As a perfect example of like going out and trying things, see what you like, see what you don't like. That comes all the way down to like, even if you take it to a truck, hey,
Yeah.
I like this, I don't like this, I'm changing out to this, whatever it has. But um, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, so speaking of like being on trails and stuff, so what kind of gear, like I've seen you on the trail, but I'm more curious about like what the audience likes to think or wants to know, like what kind of gear do you run on the trails to get to camp, or what you wear to get there, or just like what makes you comfortable while out on the road or the trail or at camp.
Yeah, so truck wise, it's gonna be a little bit of a plug, but obviously I run everything CBI and Princeton.
Yeah,
Armor was a huge thing when I first got into the industry. I wanted to make sure that I was taken care of, and
great company for
yeah,
sure.
awesome company. I've met the owner and his father, and they've treated me like family. They've brought me out to these events and helped sponsor me for the new 4th gen build, and they did a lot for me. But outside of the sponsorship stuff, I mean, just a rock solid company. Um, I have nothing but love and respect for them, and the truck's kind of evolved literally based off of that.
Yeah,
One piece of gear that I'm always have, and I tell people, is obviously fire. I'm a huge fire guy, whether it be a propane fire pit or a traditional fire. I'm all about it. Like you'd mentioned, previously, some of the best conversations, at least for me, is made around a campfire. So
yep.
if I have the luxury of having a propane fire pit and I have it with me, boom, I have it. I mean, or I'm scavenging the floors of these wooded areas to try to build a fire, just so we can sit around something, have somewhere like a focal point where we can converse.
Yeah,
That's huge for me.
absolutely.
But then going to gear, I'm a huge fan of your Mammoth flannel. The colors that you've chosen have been absolutely insane.
Thank
I
you.
love the colors that you use. Your beanies, my wife, I mean, I don't think she's ever taken off your thermal. I mean, it's been 2 years now, and I'm sure it's probably been on in the laundry hamper maybe all of 5 minutes. So
Dang.
she loves it. The joggers, everything that you've released has been really, really high quality product.
Awesome. I'm
Yeah.
stoked to hear that. Like, uh, like I said earlier, guys, this is not like a advertisement sort of podcast. This is just honest review from good buddies of mine, and I just want you guys take with a grain of salt of what we're doing here, and just enjoy the experience. Like the brand is all about comes quality goods, comes quality experiences, and comes quality of life, and I stand by that wholeheartedly. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty killer experience, man. SEMA, like all the sponsorships you got for just what you love to do, it's so cool. Um, and that kind of brings me to like, with all this special stuff you have for trips, like what is your dream trip, and like how necessarily would you prepare for it, or do you even need to anymore? You know what I
Oh
mean?
man, that's a great question. So my dream trip, obviously Alaska. Alaska's
Right here with you.
definitely my number one. I mean, I'm trying to put the truck on a ferry. I'm trying to visit Canada.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to eat poutine. I heard it was good. I'm trying to drink milk out of bags with Canadians. Like I'm trying to do I want to do the whole thing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So, in regards to preparing, I mean, it depends what time of the year I go.
yeah.
Obviously, heat would be a thing if we're in the winter time, but I would definitely probably give myself 6 months to a year just to prepare for it.
Oh yeah.
But definitely want to spend like 2 to 3 weeks in Alaska. That's definitely number one for me.
Absolutely. I can honestly say the same. I think we've talked about this before. Like Alaska just seems like the final frontier.
Oh yeah,
Like there's still, I wouldn't say still, but there's just so much forest up there to explore, and wildlife, and so many activities to do up there just on downtime,
oh for sure.
and just fish, explore trails, go shooting, see some Kodiak bears. That would be so sick, by the way. Like one of my dreams is to see a bear, a grizzly or a Kodiak up close. To safe distance, but
Yeah, for sure.
that's awesome, man. I think that's just gonna wrap it up for this podcast, guys. Jose has been an awesome person to conversate about this kind of stuff, and couldn't be more stoked to have you on this episode, man.
Dude, thanks, man. Anytime, brother. You put up the bat signal, I'll be here.
Sounds good, man.
All right, dude.
Great to
Thanks for
have you.
everything, dude.